Hey everybody, Tony Stuart again with Friends for Life, and I have an exciting feature today. If you ever paid attention to my journey, if you ever heard about what Friends for Life represents and why it represents, you are aware that it's because of my Uncle Larry. And I don't have the pleasure to have my Uncle Larry with me other than in spirit right now, but I have the ultimate pleasure to be able to introduce you three of the primary people in my life that have not only encouraged me to be who I am, but put the roadblocks out of sight for me because they've always encouraged me. And the first one, the very, very first one, I knew some of y'all didn't heard this before, but it's my honey, and her name is Sher. And then I have my Uncle Wayne, and then I have my Uncle David here. These three wonderful people have so many experiences with my Uncle Larry, and I thought for anybody to really understand, you got to hear from the horse's mouth on what kind of upbringing I had that makes me so passionate about what I do. So I've already said your names, and everyone's here watching your wonderful faces. So how about we start with you, honey? Can you explain at least what propelled you to be a caregiver to Uncle Larry? Or like, how was it even growing up? What was it like?
It was me against the world. No, it was, I had 8 brothers, and if my mother became ill, then I had to take over her duties, which was cooking, cleaning, and taking care of my younger brothers.
And, and whipping.
Which are two here, and Larry and Michael. And if Mama was ill, and she had 14 kids all total, so her body was pretty wrecked.
Yeah.
And she'd tell me, you go in there and whip them boys. And I'd be crying when I walked through the door with the belt. And they'd laugh. They'd laugh at me. And eventually take the belt out of my hand. But with Larry watched his brothers. And that's how he learned how to talk. That's how he learned how to walk, was emulating them. Because at first, we thought, well, we don't know when. I'm paraphrasing my mother. We don't know when he'll start walking or talking, things like that. And the one thing that we did notice was that he got up and walked because he didn't like his younger brothers, because they were all younger than him, yeah. Walking before him. And the most precious memories I have, they're terrible, is we kind of treated Larry like the garbage dump.
Explain.
Well, I mean, seriously, didn't we? Because when we'd finish, when our plates, if we had anything left, Larry said, can I have it? And we had this one day when we said, Larry, you want the rest of this? He said, no, thank you. We wrote it on the map, on the calendar, because he had never, ever turned down any food. But he was used to singing and dancing, because my mom played the piano, and my brothers would sing while she played the piano. And so Larry got interested in dance and music because he had 2 brothers, three brothers, Wayne, Jay, and Garland, who were in singing groups. So they were always at the house doing something. And so,
and if I can, honey, just to interrupt a little bit, because those are some of the best memories that I have. Our own prospect in the backyard, us having a cookout, my uncle sitting there singing and dancing, Uncle Larry on the guitar or the harmonica, getting his part in, and the amount of joy that you saw from him entertaining people.
Yeah.
He loved it.
He loved it. Big ham.
He get on the dance floor and never stop.
And never get off.
Never get off.
Tammy would take a break.
Yeah.
And he would keep dancing.
Yeah, Carlene and I would actually have to go over to him and Tammy and say, hey, go get a drink.
Yeah.
Because they would just look at each other and dance.
Mm-hmm.
And they always won the contest.
Yes.
And if they didn't win, Larry had a problem. And he talked to the DJ. He did.
Play the right music.
No, they played all his favorites. He says, I don't understand why we didn't win.
Because you're so used to winning.
Well, and they were the best dancers.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, that was obvious. But, oh well. And the other thing is, I took caregiving of Larry personal because it did it for my parents.
Gotcha.
And they never hid him. They never mistreated him. We all talked about him, just like we talked about each other. You know?
Jokingly.
Yeah, but Mama and Daddy never forsook him and pushed him away. We went to parties when I was living on my own with my kids, and I was going to somebody's birthday party or a wedding. Larry, you want to be my date?
Yeah.
And we go. And so I took him all kind of places, and then because where I worked was where he worked, it was easier for me to be his chaperone at Special Olympics, things like that. And I did that for like 20 years so I could be with him in Columbus. David went one year.
Times. I went
did
a few
you ever
times.
go?
Yeah, once.
Once.
Yeah.
And I was
I went with
I was
And
on your
I
head
brought you in
everywhere. I mean,
when you like 7 years old. And I said, okay, let's go. We're going to go to bowling for Special Olympics. And Tony would go with me, and they loved Tony. And then Tony, it was the end of the bowling season or something. They were having a party.
oh man, it was at I remember the boat. They shut the bowling alley down now.
Yeah. And Tony got up. They put on Michael Jackson.
You already know.
And Tony got up and did the whole Thriller dance. Oh, that place lit up. They couldn't believe it until the day I retired. Miss Wilhelm was always reminding me, I just remember your grandson doing that day, because that really made her happy.
Y'all remember the
was-
time when we stayed on Palmwood, and we all would take turns staying up at night with Larry because he would quit breathing?
I don't remember that.
Well, you
don't
remember
remember?
I slept with Larry. So
Yeah.
Larry slept up
On his
prop on
on
his
his side.
one arm because he wasn't nothing gonna make him die.
right.
Right.
And the doctor,
They said doctor said
doctor
that
said
he wouldn't live
when he was
12
born.
or 14.
Yeah, he
And
wouldn't
Larry
live
made it
to be
60.
12.
Yeah.
So he wouldn't live to be 12, and he was 60 years old.
Yeah.
Yo, that trips me out.
Yeah.
How like
Well, but then you have to remember that when medicine is researching things, they're going by what they've experienced.
That's why it's a practice.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
They've experienced these things, so that's why they gave their best information to my parents. But see, Larry and his siblings had a different objective. To enjoy each other as long as we could. And,
We didn't treat him like he was
if you
retarded.
remember,
We didn't treat him like that.
in the summertime, we were always at Jay's house or something like that with the music and the kids playing out in the courtyard, and then the sun going down and everybody go home. You know, so it was wonderful. I was lonely as a single girl in a house full of boys. But my mother taught me how to sew, how to cook, how to clean. And then she turned around and did the same for my brothers. Because she told me, you may never find a wife, but you got to take care of you. You know. So, and another time I remember with Larry is Jay worked at the Toledo Blade, and when he'd take his breaks, he would come over to my townhouse, and Larry lived with me and my son, and he'd just take his break hanging out with us. We'd drink a beer, you know.
I loved it when Uncle Larry got his beers in him. Oh, goodness, he was fun.
So all he wanted was him a six-pack.
Yep.
And he was cool.
Well, we were watching a program, I can't remember for sure what it was. It was a musical. And Larry sat in the chair by the TV and blew his harmonica. And it was so beautiful. It left me and Jay speechless. We just watched him, you know. And then Jay said, "Oh my God." He said, "It's time for me to go back to work." My brother just soothed my soul. You know what I mean? And it was, nobody taught Larry music.
No, it was just in his blood.
Well,
Yeah.
it's in his, Uncle
It's in
Larry
his
had
DNA.
all, anybody listening I have a very talented family. I mean, they're so talented in so many aspects. In the beginning of my life, I didn't think I was as smart as you, Uncle David. With your trade and being an electrician and stuff, I was like, man, I like math, but I don't love it like that. You know, I think Home Alone is cool to do all those gadgets and stuff, but I don't want to actually put any stuff together. You know, I saw Uncle Wayne singing and criminalizing. I was like, no. You're right. No, you're right. But,
Tell the truth. It'll set you free.
But he accepted who he was. And that's what, you never lied to me. You always, and you led me into a place where I was comfortable in my skin. Yeah. And honey, I saw the administrative work that you did, and at that time I was like, I help you because I love you, but I hated licking those limbs. Because I wanted to help honey. That was always my objective.
He come to work with me sometimes.
That was his on-the-job training.
It was. It got me ready for all of the package licking I have to do now. But it wasn't until knowing your profession and how it correlated when I was an adult that actually helped me look at these things in a different way. Like, man, my skill set is not, that of an electric trade or this, that. It's not just really an administrative person. It's not a singer because I can't hold a note if you put it in my hand. But I'm a people person. I am a pleaser. I am a person who I look at you and the first thing I think is, how can I help you? How can I care for you? And that is something all of you instilled in me because you gave that to me and never judge. I mean, I remember always wanting to be better than everybody at something. And I finally found that. So, well, I want to kind of go back to the lifestyle growing up, because, you know, like you said, I remember sleeping with Uncle Larry, especially during Christmas. One time I snuck down, I saw you actually putting together my bike. But me and Uncle Larry would lay together, and not only if he didn't sit up like that, he also did the head bop. Yep,
he
the head
rocked
bump.
me to sleep every night.
Every night. He would put you out. We would sit and watch wrestling, and he would start doing that at night, and I would wake up in 5 a.m. like, whoa, I didn't even mean to stay in here.
Right.
Yeah.
But when he was gathering all of these skills, I mean, because I'm sure it's just like him walking, it was because he saw you all doing it. So, Uncle Wayne, when he saw you singing and stuff, I mean, like, did you notice it right away, or did it just start?
Yeah, he would, sometimes when we would be rehearsing, he would try to do the steps with us, you know,
And
he'd
he
hum
was
in the
always
background when we
singing,
sing,
yeah.
Yeah.
you know, and I tell him, I say, hey, how you like that step? That was good. That was good, Wayne. That was good. And I used to ask him, when I used to go see him, or take him somewhere, I say, Larry, you still? He say, yeah, Wayne, I'm still. I was stupid like that.
Back then, that we could say that word freely.
Yeah.
But it's a bad word now.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah.
Now.
Well,
It has to
because
be,
people
MRDD.
made it.
It's mentally
Yeah.
challenged now.
People made it bad.
people made it bad. That's
Yeah.
right.
And you
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah.
And I had almost 3 or 4 fights because of people calling him names.
Mm-hmm.
And because they wasn't messing with my brother.
Yeah, well, you know, Larry's with me a whole lot when I'm the baby.
Yeah.
So
I was going to mention that.
yeah, I was with Larry a lot, and I got plenty of fights.
Yeah.
Plenty of fights.
Yeah, yeah.
You
think
ain't
we
messing
all
with
did.
my brother, and Larry would help.
Yeah. Because he didn't like
Larry
it
beat your
anymore.
butt.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
told me the first fight that I got in, because somebody was talking about him getting off the bus. He actually told me it wasn't smart. I can't remember what he said, but he kind of shook his head like,
Don't do it.
Yeah, like you didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
My feelings aren't hurt like that.
Right.
You know, but
Your
thought that
feelings
my
was-
feelings was hurt. Like, man, I love this dude.
And you didn't like the guy anyway.
Pretty much.
Larry loved everybody.
Everybody.
I mean, any and
Unconditionally.
everybody. Unconditionally.
And
You
speaking
know?
of love, we have to talk about his main gal, Tammy.
Tammy.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, my uncle.
Forever and
Who
a day.
was so mean to him? Did you know that?
I mean, I always looked at it as
She
her
would
being
boss him
jealous. She was jealous because Uncle Larry had that swag. He was such a ladies' man, especially at work. And
Yeah,
they worked
and the
together.
girls were all around
Yeah,
him.
girls
Man.
was always around
And
him.
of course, we definitely had some conversations we shouldn't have been having at my age, at 10, 11 years old. But he'd be like, hey, you know, I was just with my lover girl, Connie. And I'm like, well, what about Tammy? He said, shh. I'm like, okay, Hunk, you player. And I think it was the funniest thing when I started working for a lot of industries at the time. I ended up meeting Connie, so I'm like, oh, so this is the infamous lover girl. But
She gave Larry the blues, man. She was taking him from Tammy.
yeah,
But that's not
But
who
the
got
phone calls
him.
is what would crack me up. Larry just be sitting there on the phone. And I said, Larry, you're not talking to her. She told me, hold on. A half hour ago. And he wouldn't give up that phone.
He wouldn't hang the phone up. And so I tell him, hang the phone up, Larry. Hang the phone up. And then I'd call Carlene.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, did you know that Tammy had Larry on the phone for the last hour on hold? Because you had a call? She said, she did not. I said, yep. And she says, oh, that girl. I told her, you don't treat that man right, I'm going to take him. Carlene told her that all the time. Said, if you don't treat him right, I'm going to take him.
I told him I was going to take Tammy from him. No, you not. You got girl. You got a girl. Tammy, my girl. I said, okay, dude.
And he never met a stranger. Take him to parties, and you look around, and he's sitting on the corner of the couch having conversations with grown women and men he never met before. And they're having a good time.
Yeah.
But that's how Larry was, you know. He was
a free spirit.
A very free spirit, and you couldn't tell him he wasn't the most wonderful thing that walked in the door.
Right.
I'm telling you.
Larry loved him some him.
And so I never told him that. I told him he was always great. Because he was, God, he was my heart.
Yeah.
You know, and then after Mama died, I moved back in so that I could take care of Larry and Daddy. And so it was just me and Terry there. And so I would just make sure Larry had everything and that Daddy didn't have to worry about it. And stayed there till Daddy passed. And then I took Larry with me because it was just an automatic thing.
Yeah,
it wasn't no conversation.
Yeah.
Smooth transition. Nobody questioned it or talked about it. Just there. It was
right.
And we knew. We all knew.
Well, and I think the awesome thing about it was just being in the presence of it. He was never neglected.
No,
like if Honey wasn't there, one of you were always there.
Always.
You know,
Right.
and the family growing up, I loved our tight bondedness. I mean, every family always has their internal issues, but we're not going to let anybody from the outside determine what's going on here.
Right.
Like if you hate one of us, you hate all of us.
Right.
And that was a presence that I feel so blessed to grow up in, because I think too many times people push family away, and we see it in these situations quite a bit. If you have a loved one who has an intellectual delay or some kind of developmental disability that you cannot really grasp, it's like, okay, just throw it away. Instead of you taking that time, okay, I'm gonna take this challenge, I'm gonna learn.
That's why I'm so proud of my brother David, because he has a child with a developmental disability. And he gives her all the love
and affection
that she needs. I mean, I'm just really proud of how you take care of Tanisha. I really am.
My baby.
And
Tanisha been everywhere.
And that's another one, listeners and viewers. I don't talk about my cousin Tanisha too much, but she was there too. It was growing out her situation. Uncle David, can you explain like how?
She got hit by a car when she was 4 years old. She was on a coma for 2.5 weeks. And what was so hard about that is her eyes was open the whole time.
Oh my.
But that's my baby. She's 47 years old.
Good.
That's my girl.
Beautiful.
And she loved working with her Uncle Larry.
yes.
Oh, my
Worked in the
goodness.
same place. Give us reports. You know?
Walking in to their job at Lot was one of the most rewarding. I couldn't be mad walking into work. Because, for one, not only the other individuals, I mean, you guys kind of see how a lot of those people in our ADS, I serviced at one point at Lot Industries.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We have background. But I would see Uncle Larry, he would come head first, coming for a hug. And he would hug me like it's the first and last time he ever saw me.
Yeah.
It was the
I
best.
loved his hugs.
Yes.
He wouldn't let you go.
No, he wouldn't. And I'd be like, oh, I gotta go. I'm gonna be late. And I'm like, oh, okay, go ahead. But then I'll go on the work floor, see Tanisha, and she, hi cousin, and she will leave her job,
Right.
come on over, and she'll hug me. And like I'm telling you, I always felt like a superstar. I mean, I could never go to work just mad because they.
Well, when you
helped lift
walk
me
in
up.
the door,
Joy.
they just radiate
Yeah,
joy.
yeah.
Yeah, they do.
And give you so much love, and you can't be mad.
Right.
And when I was always the kind of kid that when I woke up in the morning, I was evil. My brother and Danny and I would fight every morning, and I'd knock him down the steps. That was my breakfast.
I used to ask Larry, why did he stop breathing? And he told me, he said, I get tired. I said, that's deep.
That is.
I mean, he
That-
thinking that deep about himself. I'm tired of doing that.
Yeah.
That's like the
This
one.
is just making me tired.
That's like the one where we say, Larry, do you smoke? He said, no, I quit.
Yeah. I quit.
And I'm like, man, you ain't never smoked. Talking about I quit.
Well, so as time progressed, you know, we lived on Prospect for quite a while. I mean,
33
you guys
years.
did. I got a good 11 years out of it. We ended up moving, and we moved to more of a condo style living. Me, you, and Uncle Larry,
Yeah,
the Beacon place.
Yeah.
And that was a different transition because our neighborhood was our neighborhood. You know.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
knew everybody.
Yeah, and everybody knew you. It was a comfortability that was there that I think, you know, I just didn't have the same over there at first.
Right.
Which is ironic because I had other family. I like a lot of my dad's family stayed over in that area. I grew up in the Woodruff Village right by it and stuff, so I knew people, but it wasn't the same.
Right.
Because back on even on thinking, like I said, thinking about Prospect and thinking about how people get involved in their life journey, next door to us was also a group home, and
right.
across the street,
Right.
where your brother lived at one point in the back. My Uncle Danny, who's not here, but we love you, man. He stayed in the back portion. But who was the lady next door? I couldn't remember her name.
I'm trying to remember which house.
It was right
The
next
one
door
next-
to the left.
Miss Carter.
Miss Carter.
Miss Carter.
Miss Carter.
Yep. And I remember I would go outside in the backyard and see a frisbee go up in the air.
Mm-hmm.
And she had a lady who she was serving, but if she didn't have anybody to play frisbee with, she would just throw it up in the air and catch it constantly. And I'm like, hey, you want to play frisbee? And like what I'm about to do, people, this is not me trying to make fun of someone. I am just imitating for the sake of representation on what I saw as a child. Okay, but she was like, oh, sure, let's go. And she was a very sweet lady, and the thing was, she would never stop. We could probably play out there for hours. I always had to be the one to say, okay, I'm going in. Oh, okay.
That's the one that used to
Wow.
crack me up. If I say something to her, she would say, oh, you talking to me now?
No.
And it tripped me out. Like I had, like, you ain't talked to me before. But that's how she would do.
And see, I didn't get any things like that from Miss Carter's group home because I was working all the
All
time.
the time, right?
And so I wasn't out to see that. And my interactions came mostly at work when I would, because my job, I had to go to all the work facilities to give presentations on benefits. And so I would meet people in every facility.
Yeah.
And then I got to meet them again at Special Olympic functions. And so I would come in and they'd say, hi, Sherry. Hi, Sherry. You know, and I'd say, hi, Linda, or hi, Susie. It's whoever it was.
Right.
But they always made you feel so important
Yeah, they do.
when you walked in,
Yeah.
you know. And so I've spent a lot of time there, and I only had one time where I felt I was about over my head,
Okay.
and it was Special Olympics, and we have to give medication to some of the clients.
Yeah.
And I never liked having that job. And I gave a client their meds, and then turned around and gave it to them again. And they were for the next day.
Oh.
And so they kept saying, why is she so sluggish and not responding? And I told Jennifer what happened, and she said, oh my God. So they had to check her.
You're right.
But I told, don't you ever do that to me again. I said, because I don't know how I messed her medicine up, because it should have been just very easy.
Right.
They put it in little pouches
Jesus.
with the date and the time. Duh.
Oh my goodness.
But when you get out there at Ohio State and you're with all these different individuals from different parts of the state, you get confused.
Yeah.
And then you're looking around to trying to find people you came with.
Yeah. Good luck.
You gotta look on the paper and find out what games are going on,
Right.
so you know where to find people. But yeah, that was horrendous for me. And Larry never had to take medication.
You know what? I'd never seen him take anything.
No, he didn't.
Larry never had to take any medication. He was, I don't remember seeing him down.
No,
Just
Happy.
anything like that was fleeting. If he hurt himself, he go cry for a minute, and it was over, and he was happy again.
Yeah, I mean,
It was all fleeting.
I don't recall him ever being like that.
I have a confession. I was very upset with him at one point about something. I don't remember what it was, but I found what made him angry. And that's interrupting him when he's trying to explain himself. Because
I know what that is. I know what that is. I'm not finished.
Yeah. And if you
Yeah.
And so for our listeners,
Take my time.
Take my
time.
Take my
He used to
time.
take his 4 fingers and rub it against his nose in a motion like going down,
Yeah.
which was
Cobwebs.
yeah,
Yeah,
it was
it was-
getting the cobwebs
That's what
off.
he felt.
That's what he felt.
Cobwebs. Those are cobwebs.
And I think that was his anxiety and irritation
Yeah.
on it represented through a physical
Right.
scenario. So it's interesting to remember that.
I'm Dr. Craig Escude, President of Intellectability. State developmental disability agencies, managed care organizations, and providers across the United States use Intellectability's health risk screening tool, e-learn courses, and person-centered training to improve health equity for people with IDD. Visit replacingrisks.com to learn more about how you can employ these tools with people you support.
Making sure that individuals are reaching the goals they have set for themselves. That's one of the many goals of Assured Health Services. If you're looking for a residential care provider or searching for ADS services, Assured Health is your go-to place. Assured Health, helping others succeed. Learn more at assuredhealthohio.com or call 494-442-8066. The Reliable Drug and Alcohol Testing Clinic is a leading provider and convenient source of pre-employment and occupational testing. Their clinic provides services to a wide range of private businesses, healthcare facilities, and municipal and county courts. Reliable as an independent, locally owned clinic, as a result, they provide services at a lower cost than major hospitals. Enjoy faster turnaround times on test results and eliminate the long waits typically incurred at larger facilities. To learn more, visit reliabledrugtest.com. THS Remote Supports is clearly focused on improving independent living through dynamic and personalized services. Their systems have been carefully developed and perfected to ensure that everyone receives the best care through the least intrusive means possible. Located in Cincinnati, Ohio, they've spent over 20 years providing in-home supports to individuals with disabilities. If you or someone you know is looking for a remote service provider, go to thsrss.com or call 513-882-9828.